earnings beating the street by a long shot, but there are some questions for AOL about display advertising, some rumors about asset sales. Who better to ask than the CEO, Tim Armstrong? We'll talk about the numbers and we'll get into the rumors, okay?
Right.
Thank you for being here. Let's go through the numbers. Earnings, 21 million, 22 cents a share, far ahead of the street. I guess why? Is this purely the patent sale to Microsoft? Or should we expect this in Q2, 3, and 4?
Yeah, so there's a couple important things to pull out of our earnings today. One is the company's operating better, better revenue, lower cost overall. So we actually raised guidance for 2012, and that will spill into 2013. So our investors should see the company perform better both this year and next year. Second thing is there's certain segments within our business, and we'd like those segments to be more transparent to investors. So we'll be going to segment reporting. So as an investor, you're going to get better results and more transparency around the results. Separately, we did a major transaction in Q1, which was selling $1 billion of patents and licensing patents to Microsoft. We also announced today we're going to return 100% of the proceeds of that back to investors.
And that's big. That's what I want to get to, and I know that some investors, especially some big activist investors, are very happy about that. At the same time, you've got critics that after they heard you say that on the call this morning said, well, why wouldn't AOL invest some of that money, say half of it, back into the business? You had overall display ads up 1%, but down by 1% domestically. So there was a little bit of concern there. Why not beef up the ad sales force? Why give all that money back?
Yeah, well, just to be really clear about this, we have a lot of cash, and I think since we spun out of Time Warner, we have traded increased shareholder value by about $1.7 billion in terms of asset sales and asset take-ins. And from that standpoint, we feel like we've built all the platforms that can actually help us propel growth. That's one of the reasons you're seeing the company look better, stronger now. So we will continue to invest in the business, but the $1 billion, we'll probably end up with close to $500 million on the cash on our balance sheet after the transaction.
You don't need the money.
You don't need the money right now, and there's nothing on our radar screen that we would use $1 billion for right now.
Are you concerned about what we saw? International display ads up 34%, but that's smaller for you guys than domestically. You were down 1%, which did cause a little bit of concern. People are wondering, they want to see that continued growth in what is core for AOL.
So we overall announced 10% growth for global advertising, which is the fourth quarter in a row. So our ad business has really picked up, and the network business in the U.S. is growing like gangbusters. The display business in the U.S., there's basically two things we're focused on there. One is the core display historical internet business is not a growth model anymore, so we've been focused on high engagement ads, this Project Devil that we developed, and video. Those two things are growing. Project Devil is growing at 80%, video is growing at 100% year over year. Separately, we are transitioning our sales approach and strategy to be very data centric. The customers in the United States, the major ad agencies and clients, are tying almost all of their advertising to KPIs, and we're going to be basically a much richer data company in display, and I think that we're already, the pipeline for the future looks good.
This transition is why we saw that slight decline?
Yeah, and also I would say we integrated the Huffington Post last year, so we took many brands and transitioned them, so I think it's a combination of being more data focused, getting the brands fully out in the marketplace, and then number three is, I think, organizing our data and brands together for success around KPIs that customers want, and I think that will be a big success metric for us.
Speaking about the brands, so rumors that AOL is exploring selling TechCrunch and Engadget. Is that true?
Not true, false.
Not even looking at it.
We have, and I said this on our employee call, so they know this today, we have looked at partnering to expand those brands. We are going to be a net investor in tech. As a matter of fact, I think we will continue to invest pretty heavily in Engadget and TechCrunch. We did go out because there's a lot of interest in those brands, both globally and in the U.S. So we looked at doing partnerships, and we would still be open to doing partnerships. Why partner?
I mean, why not just, if you've got all this cash, why not beef up the staff internally?
Yeah, and we may do that. I mean, I would say at this point we're on a track to basically do internal investment in those brands, but we want to be opportunistic to leverage those brands as much as we possibly can.
I know at Huffington Post, I know that Arianna Huffington's editorial job is shifting. She was overseeing all editorial properties at AOL. Now she's going to shift back just to focus on Huffington Post. Some are spinning that as sort of marginalizing her role there. Others are saying that this is making her focus on the international operations for HuffPo. What is it, Tim?
Yeah, it's, look, Arianna has a global brand. And I think since we bought it, it's probably gone up exponentially in terms of notoriety and focus and international. And we're launching HPSN, the new video channel. And Arianna's also taken on more responsibility within the Huffington Post for other business segments as well. So I think the way you should think about this is, we've turned AOL into the brand company where we have 200 million users globally. We have lots of big brands. brands as a company. We're probably the largest brand stable on the web right now, and Arianna's role is really to take, there's a moment in time here where the Huffington Post can become a global information brand, both in video, international and domestically, and she's really passionate about it and focused on it. So I think as a shareholder, being a big shareholder myself, I think Arianna's going to add a tremendous amount of value and growth to the Huffington Post overall, and she's brought a lot of that to a lot of other brands. So from a moment in time standpoint, I think Huffington Post has a big moment to grow right now.